Hey, what's up guys, it's Oakley, and as per your recommendations, I'm going to be doing Total War Tactics. So this one is going to be entitled Shifted Battle Line Trap. So I figured the way I'm going to do this is start with a generic general battle plan and then show you the execution. So for this plan, it's going to be an ambush where the first step is to lay your trap. So have some sort of hidden units. So you can see that demarcated on the bottom. The units on the left are supposed to be hidden. Use tall grass to the forest. Then what you want to do is start shifting your line. Usually what I try and do is some form of a canted line like this. So you can start shifting your line up like this, and typically your opponent will try and match your line. That's often the case, and they'll also start to tilt, and then you'll see both armies start to wheel into position. It's important that you don't get engaged at this point. You want your opponent to kind of match your flank, and this will become apparent why we are doing this. But anyways, don't feel like you have to engage with your opponent. If you're too close to your opponent at this point, go ahead and draw back a little bit. The idea is just to get him to shift his forces, and you'll see why we want him to do that once the forces get sort of into position. And the advantage of this is you're trying to pull your opponent kind of into the trap. So now you can see him moving up into position here. Keep your distance, don't engage just yet. Now the next part is to bait the enemy. So by shifting your line, you force your opponent to kind of come to you, and what you should do is open up a tempting target for your opponent. So you can see how on the left I've shifted my line, and at that point I don't have any units there, so that should bait whatever enemy flanking force is there into that little gap. But make sure you're not too exposed. Make sure he can't actually exploit that line, so make sure that your hidden troops are pretty close so that your opponent, if he decides to move on that little gap, that you can then hop on to him and deal damage to him. But the idea with the shifted line is to allow your opponent or invite him into that gap in your force. And the next step here is to spring the trap. Once your opponent takes the bait, unleash on him with your flanking force. Now this works just as well with arrows or gunshots. Make sure part of your flanking force, your hidden force, also has something that's maneuverable like cavalry. So once you start shooting at his unit right there, then you can spring out with cavalry and either hit that ambushed unit in the flank or actually move into where that unit used to be and hit him in the flank. So now your opponent is going to be completely upset. Phase 5 is then to follow up on this move, and your opponent is going to be staring at what's going on the left. On the right, go ahead and hit him. He's going to be already off balance because of your attack on the left. Go ahead and take advantage of that and strike on the right. You'll notice that your opponent will have much of his micro dedicated to the left, and oftentimes they won't see you coming, and you can get the charge bonus on the right. So hopefully that attack goes well, and now you basically have the ability to completely encircle your opponent. So this is a general strategy of how it goes. It takes a lot of practice to know which units to place where, what appropriate distances are, and the timing, but let's go ahead and jump into a battle where I pull this off. So this is the battlefield where I wanted to show you. This is going to be a multiplayer 2 versus 2 battle. I am positioned here with Fall of the Samurai units, and like I said, 2 versus 2 battle, but this strategy can work just as well. So we are in phase 1. Phase 1 is, if you recall, hide your troops. So I have a number of troops on my left flank. If you remember the battle diagram, this is the left flank that wants to stay hidden. Have units that can, have the devastating blow of an ambush. So if we were in Rome or some other battle, we would probably have archers or something that can do a lot of armor penetration, perhaps javelins. In this case, it's going to be my red bear. And then, like I said, make sure you have some sort of swift mobile force in the back to follow up. So that's going to be my Yari key. And then I also have sort of my main line moving forward. Now, the next step is going to start to tilt your battle line. So you can see my forces starting to creep forward. Something you can do is, I'm going to deviate a little bit from the basics that I mentioned before, is what I like to do is just throw out some sort of force in the front. So I send out my cavalry and I start to sort of play with my opponent's attention. I see that he's pushing the left, so just like in that battle diagram, my opponent is going to start shifting. And take a look at this from above. My forces are now going to start shifting to the right. So this is the shifted battlefield. I'm shifting my battle lines here. I'm pushing forward with my Yari key here. I want to have him, yep, look at this. His line is already starting to tilt. Because I put a lot of pressure on one flank, I'm starting to tilt his battle line, just like I described to you in the battle plan. So here's my force. I'm pushing more units to the right. I'm sending out some cavalry to the right. I'm making my presence felt here. And take a look at how my opponent is reacting to this. He's further tilting his line, so that's working excellently. Now, this is kind of an abstract, sort of a more realistic approach, but you can still see the basic dynamics of what I showed in the drawings. My line is over here, my hidden force is over here, and my opponent is, turning to match my battle lines. Now, I am doing the phase, which is sort of to bait the enemy in. I'm going to start retreating my left flank. I'm going to retreat this flank, and I'm going to be pushing up this side. Now, retreating units that's kind of a very good piece of bait, because cavalry and other units definitely want to pursue this. My opponent is eager to fight the battle, and by retreating, by showing that this is an exposed flank, then I can go ahead and start to do the phase of the battle, which is bait the opponent. So most of my line is here, my opponent is facing me, and here is that left flank that he thinks, excellent, I can come in and I can hit these guys on the side. I specifically put White Tiger Force here because White Tiger Force is very cheap, so my opponent is analyzing my forces, and he's saying, look at this, I can strike this flank, White Tiger Force, that's easy, I'll hit that on the flank, and then I'll come and swarm through the center. That's what he's thinking. Now, this is exactly the piece of bait that I was telling you about. So take a look at the range. He's going to start to reposition to get at that flank, and now I'm going to start to spring my trap. So my Red Bear infantry are going to start to fire. The trap has now been sprung, and I'm going to unleash on his guys. So this is going to be the devastating effect of the ambush. So just doing ridiculous amounts of damage. His guys are stationary, and now it's going to be very important that I put this on pause. So I'm doing kind of two steps at the same time. This is, as you saw in the battle plans, spring your ambush and then follow up on that. So one of my follow-up moves, like I showed you in the battle diagram, is to sally out with my Yariki. My Yariki are going to push over here, and their role, just like in the diagram, is to intercept these Katana Cavalry. If these Katana Cavalry want to charge my guys, that's fine. I'll intercept with my Yariki. Otherwise, these guys will go long, hit them in the back, or they'll continue on to this flank. Now, like I said, once this ambush is sprung, your opponent is going to start to react. He's going to have to focus all his micro in here. He's not entirely sure what he's getting shot on, why. He's going to zoom in, try and see, okay, these are Red Bear, then he's going to reposition. He's going to be doing a lot here, and that's why I am doing the move on the right. Now, I am not striking over on the far flank. I'm actually going for the center. So this is going to be sort of the next phase, which is following up on the ambush. The ambush is not just devastating because you take out a unit, it's devastating because it draws your opponent's micro away. So over here you can see an exposed line of archers. Now this is the traditional way to set up units, archers in the front, spears in the back. Now usually if you charge this type of formation with cavalry, your opponent will merely pull back his bows behind your spears and you're screwed. But because he's busy microing his units around here, reacting to the ambush, he doesn't have the micro left to adequately move these guys away. I'm not even sure if he actually realizes that my cavalry are coming in. This is all auto fire, so I'm able to actually go straight, make a beeline for his most expensive bow hero units with my Yariki. Yes, I'm taking some damage, but you can see he's not able to get his spears into position. They're not even moving up at this point. My opponent, like I said, is busy microing over there. He hasn't even moved these Katana Cavalry. They were so close, and that is the power of this type of move. Now I'm coming in with my cavalry. Slow motion, just like I said. I have more guys in the back to counteract. Make sure that your ambush force has enough units to survive. This is a little wrinkle that I didn't explain before, but make sure that your ambushing force has some sort of support. So, for instance, my main line here is going to send reinforcements to support this ambush. I don't want my ambush to get destroyed. Too many times early on, I thought I could get away with a one-unit ambush. That's no longer the case. You want your ambushes to actually be pretty beefy and have some fallback plan in case your opponent charges at your ambush. Here you go. I have Red Bear, Pooh Bears stationed to hit those guys on the side, and then here's the cavalry going around the back. I can hit these guys on the side, and I'm also bringing in some more Yariki. So not exactly the battle plan that you saw on the map, but it's still following true to the main idea. Let's go ahead and put this on play. Finally, my opponent has reacted to this, and I lost my Yariki, but I was able to just destroy his bow hero. I've precipitated this assault. His guys over here are going to be out of position, and I'm already going to charge forward with my spear levy. My opponent is totally out of position. I'm going to go ahead and put this on pause. Oh, actually, they actually decided to quit the battle. I wanted to show you that over on the right flank, I already had some matchlock position on the flank just to beat back the second enemy force that was coming in. So you can see I was able to win this 2 versus 2 battle almost instantaneously. Within a minute, our opponents admitted defeat just because I was able to use the hidden force, turn my shifted battle line, bait my opponent, hit him in the flank, and then most crucial of all was the follow-up. If I had not had a follow-up, if it had just been this ambush, I guarantee my opponent probably would have fought on. But because I had that follow-up, because I took out his bow heroes, he knew that it was all downhill from there. So this is kind of the way you could execute this. So I hope you guys enjoyed this first laying out of the plan and then following up of how to do the tactics. I think this is going to be the way I want to do it. It's probably the most effective. The problem is, however, that it can sometimes be specific to one Total War game, so perhaps in the future I can try and show you how to do this tactic in Rome or something where you have to do it with archers or other units like that. But anyways, hope you guys enjoyed. This is, as I said, per request for you guys who had asked to see some tactical tutorials. So this is going to be me just testing the water. As always, I respond to your feedback. So if you do like to see this type of battle, this type of tactics, and if you think this is the appropriate way to teach you guys, then I'm all ears. I'll check the comments below to see your feedback. So yeah, go ahead and leave some comments. Anyways, hope you guys enjoy these tactics. Go ahead and try them out on the battlefield and let me know how they work out for you. See you guys. Peace out.